Good morning, everybody. I'm waiting for my brother Stephen Thurston to come in. There he is. How are you, sir?
Man, it's good to see you. I'm glad that we have made it through the end of this year and we're wrapping up with this amazing episode to close out the revolution.
I'm excited about this. Hold on, I've got some echo here. There we go. Got rid of that. It's exciting to be here. For those of you that may have never been with us over these past 10 months, we want to welcome you to The Revolution will not be televised. It will be streamed. This is where we have conversation about life and leadership in the digital age. Of course, I couldn't imagine taking this journey from pandemic to possibilities with anybody other than my brother, the one and only Reverend Stephen J. Thurston II. Man, I'm telling you, it's been a joy. I'm looking forward to 2021. What are you looking forward to in 2021?
Man, we're just revolutionizing things as we've been pushing and challenging people to change, adjust, pivot. We likewise have to set the example. So I'm looking forward to seeing what our both unique minds bring to the table to help people and encourage them along the path, along this journey of change.
Well, we've had some amazing guests, Stephen, during this time. Listen, for all of you that are watching, we've got this on all platforms. So our guests will be sharing it to their platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Periscope, we're on Twitter. So if you're watching this, go ahead and start a watch party. Share this across your platforms. If you don't know who this conversation is for, as my brother Stephen has said for 10 months, it's for Lottie Dottie and everybody. But more specifically, it is for those who desire to maximize their potential, mobilize their purpose, and multiply their productivity. Let me give that to you again. If you want to maximize your potential, if you want to mobilize your purpose, and if you want to multiply your productivity, you're at the right place in the right time. We've had some incredible guests over these past 10 months, and we've invited them to come back together with us in mass, as they say, all in one place to share some insights on the subject that we're dealing with today, reframing the revolution. The rules have changed. So you don't want to miss this. We're going to introduce them and have them come on as we introduce them. The first person I'm going to introduce to you is our resident mentor for today. I'm going to just call him our model baby boomer. Bishop Joseph Douglas Wiley-Taylor. If you'll come on, sir. We're so glad that you're here.
Good morning. Good morning, Dr. Allmon.
Good morning.
Hey, sir. Good to see you.
Yes, sir. Stephen, introduce our next guest, please.
Man, an amazing young pastor, young preacher who's a part of a legacy that has resounded around the United States of America, Pastor Bill Ellis of Chicago, Illinois. Welcome, Bill. Glad to have you here with us today, sir.
Hey there, good to be here. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to this conversation on the day.
Our next guest is the one and only, and she is our resident superhero in feminine form today, the Miss Keva Horry. We're so glad that she's here with us today. Her middle name is spelled D-E-V-A-L-L-E. I'm not going to slaughter it. So I could say Divalet, I could say Deval, I could say it a lot of different ways, but I'm not. So we're just going to leave it right there. Keva, it's so good to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
You're so welcome. Stephen, who's up next, man?
Man, we've got this guy out of the ATL. We've been friends for a long time. I don't know why, the way he treats me. I mean, my enemies sometimes treat me better than this so-called friend, but I'm glad to have him a part of my life. He's a genius. He's the man that's behind the Mirror Moment book. Many people don't know that.
Wow.
His company put all of that together. Pastor of Internet and Innovation there at the New Birth Church in Atlanta, Pastor Kervance Ross.
Yes, sir. Great to see you, sir.
Great to see you. Praying to God for Israel that Steve might be saved, and just glad to be here.
Our next guest is actually my biological brother. He's the third in the line of the Allmon succession. There's one girl between he and I, and I admire him. I respect him. He's brilliant. Mr. Raymond Allmon, is that right?
And put my government name out there like that.
I just put your whole name out there. I needed to say it. I hadn't said it in a while. I was hoping I'd get it right.
Look,
But
it's good to be here. It's good to be here. I'm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's about 70 degrees here. So heading to play tennis after this, right? So if any of y'all want to get it on the tennis court.
wow. You just had to do that.
He had to.
So who we got next?
I just got a text. We got another guest in the guest room. So
I'm letting them in now. If you want to introduce him, I just let him in.
Cool.
There he is.
Here he is. He's the presiding bishop of young people, the founder of the Young Leaders Conference, the new owner of, he's taken over Atlanta. He's about to put Oprah and everybody out of business. He just got an amazing studio where he's about to do some great work for the kingdom. Bishop Mark Moore.
Mark is fine. Mark.
Great to have you here, sir. Good to see you again.
Be here with you, man. Honored.
Our next guest is a gentleman that I consider a biological brother. Both Raymond and I concur on this. He's a creator. He's an innovator. He's a life influencer. He makes a difference. My brother and my friend, Dr. Jermone Tyrone Glenn. Thank you for being here, sir.
Really? You don't hear on the middle name?
I'm doing this to y'all today.
Right. You about to get him, right? I mean, with such a middle name, should we let the world know? I'm just saying.
No. Stephen, will you introduce our next guest, please? Stephen, will you introduce our next guest?
Listen, I call this guy the heretic because so many in the kingdom see him as such. But he's really not. He's just one who seeks to challenge us, expand our thinking, expand our mind. And he keeps my closet full of custom clothes and shoes. A great guy, the proprietor of Peace Squared and the pastor of the faith community, Pastor Kristian A. Smith.
Brethren, Keva, it's good to be here. I don't know why y'all keep inviting me to this stuff, but I'm going to keep accepting the invitation as long as you do.
You have something to say every time you're here, sir. And then our last co-host, final co-host, is our resident Mosaic. He's a brilliant mind. He's a wordsmith. He's a spoken word artist. He's a producer. He's a rapper. He's a man of God, Mr. MarcusJackson. Marcus, good to see you, sir. How are you?
I'm great. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me again.
Hey, thanks for hanging with all the old folk today, Marcus. I'm sure there's something else you could be doing in Chicago, even though it's cold, but I'm so glad you hung out with us today. So thank you for being here. We appreciate all of you all joining us today. And as we mentioned in the virtual green room, we want you to introduce yourselves to the world in an organic way. So we just ask for you to share what city you're in and what your greatest passion is as we move into 2021 and beyond. With all the uncertainties of this pandemic, I think what is certain is the passion and the purpose that has been assigned to your life that's designed to make a difference in an uncertain world. So we'll just start in the order that you were introduced. So I'm sure you remember where you were introduced at, the order that you were in. Stephen, we just took all the work off us with that. Yeah. In the order that you were introduced, I'll give Bishop Wiley his cue since he's our resident mentor and baby boomer. We're starting with him. Just tell us where you're from and what your greatest passion is.
Thank you, Dr. Allmon. I am from the great city of New Orleans, Louisiana. My greatest passion is preaching because I believe the power of preaching changes, strengthens, empowers the church to in turn change and empower the culture.
Wow. Thank you, sir. Who's next?
I am Bill Ellis. I am from San Antonio, Texas, but I live in Chicago. And my greatest passion right now is to be a good example of a husband, a father, a pastor, and the Black man.
Wow. Next.
That's me. I'm Keva. I am, originally from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Roll Tide, sorry, Curry. Uh, I live in Houston, and my greatest passions are writing and making a difference in the special needs community and my community at large.
I'm up next. I am Kervance Ross, the Kingmaker. I am here in Atlanta and originally from Atlanta. And the greatest passion for me is helping people obtain their purpose so that they are clear enough to see what God is developing in their future, even when it doesn't make sense in their present. So I'm excited, passionate about it, and grateful to be with each one of you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Believe I came in next. I am Mark Moore Jr., and I currently reside in the great city of Atlanta, Georgia. And at this juncture, I think my primary passion, my primary focus is helping to facilitate that we keep talking about. We keep talking about it, but somebody has to actually put together a framework and a blueprint. And so I'm passionate about trying to serve as an architect of sorts for what the church, the kingdom, and the culture will look like in the days to come. So that's where I am with it.
So I think Mark jumped me. So I'm gonna come back in line.
Came in late. I'm sorry. You should have said something.
It's all good. Raymond Allmon. I'm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Well, the LSU Tigers are. So go Tigers. Not this year, but last year. And my greatest passion is really dismantling systems that block Black boys from realizing their absolute genius, right? And so those are not terms I'm talking in a lot, but having two sons and seeing them be able to realize that it's just something that I feel called to do. And so that's what I spend my time doing.
I think I was next. I think in this season, my greatest passion is still creating and in every area. I think helping people cultivate, culture, leadership, marriage and family, innovation overall. I just enjoy creating everything.
Next.
I believe that's me. Again, I'm Kristian A. Smith, and I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia as well, originally from Oakland, California, by way of San Diego. And my greatest passion is creating beloved community by helping people to connect with the God inside of them. Based on the words of Jesus, that the greatest commandment is that we love God with our heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the second part is like it, that we love our neighbors as ourselves. So in order for us to connect to God, we need to connect to ourselves. In order for us to love God, we need to love ourselves. And it's my passion and my purpose to help people navigate that journey of discovering the God inside of them.
Hi, my name is MarcusQuinnJackson II. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, born and raised. And my passion right now is similar to Mr. Kristian's. I'm trying to help my peers in a way see the God in themselves, and just by being an example, because I realized last time I talked to you, Dr. Allmon, you can't force everybody, but the more they see you walking in it, the more they'll want to walk in it. So that's my passion right now, to just, even though in this pandemic, to stay faithful and to also just be an example for my peers so we can bring them to the kingdom also. Thank you.
Well, Stephen, I think you and I should participate in this introduction exercise. And so I would submit that my greatest passion is to impact lives so that they can transform their world in every aspect of their life.
Yeah, I would follow up with that in a very similar fashion, helping people to change what's within so that they can change what's around. Instead of us pointing the finger outward, it needs to come inward first. And that's how real change transits people and places to what it needs to be.
So, Stephen, we've been having this conversation now as we came into the holidays, just about reframing how we direct our energies. And I was sharing with somebody the other day, I think it's critical that even though we have done fairly well with the mechanics of technology in communicating in educating and inspiring over these past 10 months, it's critical that we also stay true to mission, and that the mission that we're called to do doesn't get lost in the mechanics that we're using to carry out our mission. And so the first question that we want to put out, and whoever wants to tackle it can, the first question is how has your passion been redirected during the past 10 months? And if I can add an addendum to that question for you to expound upon, one, how has your passion been redirected during these past 10 months? And then along with that, do you find yourself more focused or distracted because of the shift in the dynamics that you're having to engage in? So whoever wants to start can begin.
I'll jump in with what Kristian said. I mean, my passion has really been about mental health therapy, right? For myself, like building me, loving, understanding the root of all the things, right? And so being inside, I mean, it has helped that. Therapy has helped that. And I think I've just been more focused, right? I mean, I don't barely turn on the TV because, it's the same stuff on there. After you see it every day for, 8 months consistently, just really being focused on what matters most to people that matter most, and really focusing on that inside, taking that time to really get to the root of a lot of things. So I've been spending a lot of time doing that.
Anybody else wants to share from this perspective?
I'll jump in so I can get out the way, but that is, I'll say for me, definitely being more focused. We went from being in the sanctuary on the second Sunday in March to the third Sunday in March. It's my MacBook that I just bought over the holidays, and my wife looking at each other saying, we're going to figure this thing out. And, that turns into now that whole pivot of what church was, what church will be, these conversations, all of you all being a part of them. I've watched and literally seen every single one of you except Brother MarcusQuinnJackson. I've taken bits and pieces of information, and I'm glad to have him here because I'll do that today. But it's focused my attention to say, how are we going to continue to get the content of ministry to the members, and now even more to the world, because we're not just preaching to the folk that we were preaching to on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So I'm focused, man.
Yeah. I would just pick up that word and continue with that theme. For me, I look at it as a forced focus. For me, when there's nothing else to do but sit with yourself and think of where you are and where you've come from and where you're trying to go. For me, the way my mind works, and this is certainly not to minimize the loss of life that all of us have experienced this year as a result of this pandemic and other occurrences, but I think that the silver lining to this COVID cloud would be forced focus. The way my mind works, it's easy for me to hide certain passions or hide certain dreams and goals and ideas in just the busyness of what we do. I can't focus on that right now. I can't think of that right now because I have to go here and I have to do that and I have to be a part of this. But when all of this goes away, now I'm confronted with, hey, what are you going to do with that thing that God put inside of you? And so for me, this has been a season of catch up. I felt that I was behind, but now I feel that I've had time. I feel that I've had an opportunity to kind of develop some of the things that I have really kind of buried in busyness. And so that's kind of my perspective on it. I think that it's been a forced focus, but that's exactly what I needed, because I would have continued to hide my fear. That's really what it was, to hide my feelings of inadequacy or my lack of preparation. I would have continued to hide that in, just the.
We lost
your mic, Mark.
We lost your mic.
I don't want to pretend to be overly prophetic, but I must agree with these powerful insights. But taking the long view, I felt a forced focus before the last three great crises our nation has experienced. I felt it before 9/11, before Katrina, and now the pandemic. It was as if something was unsettled in me before then. I felt the change before then. Someone spoke of the Holy Spirit, and I thought what sounded like improper terms, but I think it should be considered. The person said, following the Holy Spirit is a wild goose chase. Now that sounds like the most untheological thing possible, but think about it. If you're chasing a goose, wherever he goes, you follow him. Jesus said the wind blows where it pleases. So what has happened to me is that the excitement for me is that the wind is blowing in a new direction. And I don't have the privilege of being distracted. I am excited, I'm elated, and I'm energized to follow this wild goose out of the old, out of the traditional, out of the limited mindset. So when I preach to my congregation, I know that I'm preaching to the world, although I was doing faith before then. I am having a ball because the new, and it is forced, is one of the most exciting dynamics I've seen.
Bishop, you know, you just gave all the preachers just started laughing because we're all about to steal that.
Right.
It's stolen. I'm going live as soon as this is over. They told me.
Matter of fact, we need to say it again in slow jam style.
I'm going now. Hold on, I'm going now.
I'm getting a graphic design right now for
Listen, let me tell you something. I have children about you guys' age, so thanks for flattering me, old man.
Well, Dr. Allmon, I'm going to play an abridged version of Hangman. It's going to come behind Bishop. This has been what I called a season of approved focus. Simply because on the heels of what Mark shared, and I've had a chance to spend time with my circle, sometimes you can get frustrated being in the spirit of Noah, telling people it's going to rain and they've never seen rain. Okay. And for so long, this has been the process that I'd used. And literally this past week, 1 year ago, was when I'm assigned a platform in the Black church that nobody else has. And you think about it, most people thought that this was crazy. What direction is it going in? Not to realize that 90 days later, the entire church world would be internet and innovation. And to be in a space where sometimes you've been running harder, and there are some of my contemporaries who will understand you've been running hard, you've been doing it behind the scenes, you've been doing it in different places, and you've had to try to approve, get validated, and get stamped. And then all of a sudden, God shifts an entire season of the world to say, you're approved and you just need to stay focused. It's that season of focus for me. And it's not about the assignment as much as it is about the family, because the focus has been on what I'm doing. But now, because of how we get it done, I've had more time to value and focus on family, on friends, on finances. And you've been able to catch up in those spaces because you were focused and approved in the other spaces. So it's been while a lot of people are complaining about how horrible 2020 is, my hands are up saying, thank you, God, that you slowed the whole world down to approve the vision that you've given me.
If I can dovetail off of Pastor Ross, talking about how the world has slowed down, for me, this has been a season of acceleration. There were a number of things that God had put on the inside of me leading into the pandemic that, much like Mark said, you get caught up in the busyness and that stuff gets put on the back burner. So pandemic hit and the book that I knew was in me had to come out. And within the first 5-6 weeks of the pandemic, I wrote my first book. And my clothing business, the pandemic forced us to really consider, how do we take care of our clients virtually? We started offering virtual fittings to take care of our clients. So now I don't have to see my clients face to face at all to make sure they have what they need. And then on the ministry side, when we started my church, the faith community, just under 2.5 years ago, we started with the mindset that we needed to have a hybrid focus in our business model so that everything that we do, there is a physical and virtual component. You know, a lot of people didn't really take that seriously. But I noticed even in our first 6 months, at times we'd have more people virtually than we did physically. And when the pandemic started, all we had to do was flip a switch. And I saw a lot of my elders and a lot of my contemporaries struggling with that switch. And God has put me in a place now to where I can provide insight to those who have been struggling in that area, because before the pandemic, they just weren't taking it seriously. I remember a few years ago, me, Steve, Kervance, and another friend of ours did a conference in Chicago. And it was an amazing conference, but it was ahead of its time. So people didn't sign up. And I remember telling my friends, like, look, don't worry, it's going to come back around. Mark this day. I took a picture of the empty room. We had a whole edifice and there were about 15 people in there. I said, don't worry, this is going to come back around. And the pandemic has accelerated us into that place where now the information we were trying to give people 5 years ago, they're coming to us for it. And I'm
and we're gonna add tax.
Premium tax.
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's an access fee now, isn't it?
Yes. Go ahead, Keva.
I'm going to go ahead and piggyback off of Kervance and Kristian and say that this has been a purposeful season for me. If I had to describe myself, I would say I was an extroverted introvert. So I don't mind being home. I'm a homebody. And initially when the pandemic started, I was home doing some things here and there. Moved into a new home, had surgery 4 months after. So I was kind of down for a while. So haven't gotten a chance or had not gotten a chance to do the things I'd wanted to do around the house. So started doing that. And then all of a sudden I was like, now's as good a time as any to go back to school. I've been wanting to go back to school. So did that. And it's really crazy because it's not a path that I would have chosen for myself. I've often heard that the area of your greatest pain becomes your greatest purpose. And so I kept wondering why women and some men would come to me and ask about teetering on divorce and thoughts of that nature concerning marriage and the dissolve of. And I'm like, wow, this is not what I want to talk about. It's sad. It takes me back to a place, but God's been building me up, making me stronger. I'm getting the credentials that I need to keep moving forward in ministry, preferably women's ministry, but I'll address it all. But I'm grateful for this time. It's been a very good time of focus, and I'm a procrastinator. I've been procrastinating on my book as well, and I can say it's almost done, and I'm excited that it's coming all out, and the regurgitation feels good, actually. I'm excited.
So let me throw another question out here for us as we're engaging in some great convo so far. At what point over the past 10 months did you have your aha moment? It was like, all right, I thought this thing was going to be short. It's longer than what I thought it was going to be. Something happened. Somebody said something that triggered you to kind of move into that place of action.
I'll start right there. I had an aha moment just a couple of months ago, actually, in my personal ministry. I had a conversation with someone who was just hired to be the pastor at one of the premier Black churches in the country, like huge Black church. And she just wanted to pick my brain on a couple of things. And I was like, cool, let's talk. And as I shared with her some ideas, I was just sharing things that we were doing at my little church start here in Atlanta. And this was stuff that we've been practicing. And the response that she had to me was eye-opening, because it was, to her, it was like groundbreaking. And I had to take a step back and say, dang, we're doing something right here. But when you're inside of it, it doesn't feel like that. And then when people from the outside say, wow, this is amazing, this is groundbreaking, wow, I needed all this. Wait, say that again, let me write that down. Wait a minute, go back and say that again, let me write that down. And I said, you know what, we need to package this, because if she's at one of the premier churches in the country, there are probably a lot of ministries who are struggling and really need this information. So that aha moment led me to establish Virtually Unstoppable, which is a clinic that we're doing at the top of the year. Steve is going to be a clinician. Kervance is going to be a clinician. I got a couple of other people who are going to be serving. Tish Williams-Dixon, who's also been a guest on this show. Like, that for me was like, oh boy, we're sitting on something that people need. Let's figure out how to package it and get it to the people that need it.
I'm going to jump on that one. The aha moment for me was probably about 2 months into the pandemic, when I started getting emails to my firm's office and to my phone from people I admired as a child, and cats that I had seen from a distance, or even more importantly, not the ones you admired, but the ones that shunned you and said it was crazy. And you get the amazing introduction to the email. Hey, nephew. Hey, son.
Wait a minute. I've been called nephew so many times this year. It's crazy. I can't stand it.
Hey, man, it was problematic for me because I'm an only child. So I was trying to figure out where all these uncles came from that wouldn't accept me. But the aha moment came when people who said you were crazy and thought it was irrelevant called you and said, I need direction. And it was one of those moments where you started to realize not just that aha moment, but you got connected to people who had been sharing it the same way in your space and had been minimized for so long. And all of a sudden, everybody sprouting at the same time, the same moment, in the same season. Between those two realities, watching Mark, watching Jermone, watching Kristian, watching what Steve is doing, what you're doing, Ricky. There are so many of our contemporaries who, as the generals are shifting, God was allowing us to be promoted, to be approved, and to be supporters of these generals. It was that moment where you're like, God is doing something bigger than even we dreamed, hope, or imagined.
Yeah. Let me jump in. I'm sorry, Mark. Whenever we would be at church and Reverend Clay Evans would walk in the building, it didn't matter if we was praying, singing, preaching, we would stop because the Godfather was in the house. And we just hand the mic over to him. Well, the Godfather of Chicago now just came in. So we got to stop and pause and just let him say whatever he want to say. And then Mark, we'll turn it back over to you.
Please, I was gonna shout him out.
Right.
Dad, you have to unmute yourself.
Got it.
Right.
There you go. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing fine.
It's great to see you.
Bless you, man. It's great to see you. I'm the old man in here. Dr. Wiley-Taylor, I think I'm the old man he was talking about. And it's just good to see all of you young prophets of God. And it's been a good year for all of us in spite of the pandemic. And I'm just encouraged by all of you. And I bless the Lord for you. And I just say to you, continue, continue, continue. You out preach all of us who are trying now, whenever a young prophet says to me, "How you doing, Pastor Thurston?" my response is always, "I'm trying." And that's what I'm doing going forward in this way. Bless you, Ricky.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Son,
sir.
Stephen Thurston II, bless you and all of you to the glory of God.
Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I was going to jump in what Mark said. The aha moment for me just came in sitting still. As everybody here knows, probably my best friend, my dad, he passed 8 years ago. And since he passed, I had to, kind of help shepherd the family business and do the things, and never got to the point of release, grief, just boom, and as a result, it affected kind of my trust life with God, because we hadn't resolved all the things about, why you take my people from me, right? And so was able to boom, get that settled and move forward in that trust life. So big aha moment that really just cemented, the importance of sitting still, the importance of, letting the feelings come and working through them. And then as a result, really having a strong relationship with God, that you can talk to him about anything, right? Because some people say anything, but I mean, you got to get with him sometimes. And so that's been a good thing for me this year.
If I can just interject, because you all have said just some amazing, insightful, spiritual things, but I want to be just real carnal for a second. My aha moment was at the top of the pandemic, when all these engagements I had started canceling. That was my aha. Wait a minute.
We can all share in that.
Yeah, and I know I'm not the only one. When you are, full-time itinerant ministry, and there is no itinerary, that is quite the aha for me. The thing that I do that really centers my year is my conference, the Young Leaders Conference. We were scheduled this year. For the first time, we were to be one conference in 2 locations. We were using the convention center and the arena. And so when things started, I remember it like it was yesterday. I know y'all do too. We first started hearing the reports about what's going on in Wuhan, China, and it went in one ear and out the other. We're praying for them over there. Never been to Wuhan, don't know what that means, but that's fine. Then I remember, I think Tom Hanks got it in Australia. And I said, I know Tom Hanks, what? Then I remember there was a cruise ship that was on the coast of Seattle, and 3 people on the ship got it. I said, man, that's crazy how it's just a few people over there. And then seemingly the next day, New York is shut down. LA is shut down. The world is shut down. And so the aha for me was, boy, you better pivot if you're going to prosper. The way you have been doing things, this idea of going from city to city, church to church, doing what you do and moving forward, the idea of bringing thousands of people together physically in one room from around the world, that's going away, at least for now. Now, we know we've survived pandemics before. We've survived, I think that sometimes our generation, we can be so reactionary that we forget we've been here before, and things find a way to come back, because for one, we have short memories, but for the very foreseeable future, things will be extremely different. And so the aha for me was, your entire model by which you put food on your little table has shifted. How are you going to respond? People still need ministry. People still need resources. People still consume content. And quite honestly, with everyone at home, they're consuming it at a significantly higher rate. What are you going to do to posture yourself in this flow? And how are you going to pivot so that you can continue to prosper? That was my aha moment. I gotta sink or swim. I am out here too far from the shore, and my feet don't touch the bottom. I got to figure something out.
Yeah, I've been sitting back listening and enjoying. I forgot I probably should contribute listening to everybody's insight. But my aha or affirmation moment was, I think, early on, as Kristian and Kervance were saying, that I was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, kind of doing online, trying to shift our church to a non-traditional space and mentality, from weaning them off of being just physical to virtual, and took a lot of heat for it. Took a lot of heat in the city for just being talked about, and then to transition that church to merge with another church in Chicago, and then move from Grand Rapids to Chicago to do a partnership, because I could just feel the wind of something coming, and physical space and virtual space needing to be a hybrid, and really only having God, my wife, and my brother Rick to talk out the craziness of it, while I was being under such attack almost, especially in my city. People left our church when I transitioned it from to a virtual campus, and really dogged us out. And literally a month or two later, after that was the case, then everybody was virtual. And then everybody's calling, trying to figure out, now, how did you do it? And because I was at church the same time other people was at church, I didn't even realize some churches didn't even have cameras. They weren't even camera ready. Like, they weren't streaming, because I wasn't paying attention to what other people was doing. I know they was on their phone and streaming and all this other stuff. And it really challenged me not to be petty, and really try to help people in that space. Because a little bit of me wanted to be petty and just be like, oh, no, y'all left, now everybody online, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we crazy for being online. Now we all online. But I didn't take that route. I offered what I could in the process. But how little, if I'm honest, and humility, how little I had to do to shift was my aha moment. Like, giving didn't have to shift, streaming didn't have to shift, cameras didn't have to shift, platforms, social media, texting the congregation, none of that had to shift. I just had to go. My greatest shift was no longer touch your neighbor. We couldn't touch our neighbor no more, and it was no more holler in the building. So being effective to an audience that you wasn't getting that back and forth, that probably was my greatest shift. But in terms of technology, my aha moment was when I did not have to shift. I just plugged everybody in to what we was already plugged into. And when I realized that I actually had harvested a resource for other people to be able to share, and in the pandemic at the top, I wasn't trying to package it or sell it. I just gave it away because everybody was panicking, and it was more about the survival of the church. But I think when I stepped back from it all and realized that all the mechanisms that needed to be set up, I was already set up for, and all the heat that I had to take to have the faith to launch out and deconstruct church as usual. I mean, we've been saying no more church as usual since 2006. Church is over, change is here since 2009. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, our tagline for our church is, we're not just a church, we're a movement. You know what I'm saying? So all of these far-fetched feelings of words that really shifted. And then when God allowed me to partner here in Chicago on a platform that had already had the conditioning of an audience that was used to that, but in a sense, needing the little tweaks that I could provide, it was a perfect opportunity for us to come together and just keep building and doing what we're doing. And now we're trying to push even beyond that level to think about the kind of content that we're communicating, so people aren't just stuck in a voyeuristic church experience where they're just watching us have church by ourselves, you know what I'm saying, at home, to really push into how do you engage an online audience besides just preaching at them or to them, but really how do you bring them into that moment. So I think my aha moments is perpetual. Great question. But I think when I would use aha as an affirmation to the point that what we were doing and where we were trekking was right. And the revolution, it will not be televised. It will be streamed,
Hey, I want to jump in on something Mark said and shoot a question at my dad that could help all of us in various aspects of what we do. Because growing up, my dad was on the road. And I think at one point while I was pastoring with you, you were gone 50 out of 52 weeks of the year.
Wow.
And I remember one time we needed to have a meeting just before all the stuff was the way it is in the airport. I flew to Atlanta because you had a connecting flight I met you at your gate. We talked about whatever we need to talk about. You got on your plane and I got back on the plane to go to Chicago because your schedule was just so crazy. And sometimes you'd be preaching in different cities on the same day, noonday somewhere else that night, and you fly back and forth the same day throughout the whole week. So now that your addiction to planes has ended, how has it impacted you?
Well, I've accepted it. Being able to be at home has been truly a different experience.
Now, mommy ain't by you, is she? I don't want you to get in trouble with what you're about to say.
It just gave me an opportunity to be at the church, to be home, and to do what I had not done in all of the years as president of a convention, as a father figure to so many of the younger pastors, which made it available, and then to follow in the footsteps of my mentors, the late Dr. E.V. Hill, Dr. Caesar Clark in Dallas, men who are gone home now. My own father, who was active with SCLC and Dr. Martin Luther King, to be a mentor to me in doing all of that was just great. And I have now become a mentor for so many young guys. It's changed my life as a pastor and leader.
Dr. Wiley, you want to add on? You've been in the game a long time. How has this shift been for you?
Let me just make a comment about this whole gathering, and I want to thank Dr. Allmon for doing this. Dr. Thurston is my friend of long standing, but let me make a connection here that means a lot to me. I've known Dr. Thurston for many years, but I used to listen to your father on the radio in Chicago in the 70s. And so to have this connection is very important to me. But in terms of how it impacted my life, Dr. Thurston and I have a broader view. And the difference between this generation and your generation is that it's over quickly, but it was never over quickly for us. I was born in segregated schools. That didn't happen quickly. The whole trauma of the 60s, Vietnam, that didn't happen quickly. So when it hit, I realized, guess what? We're into a long ride. And I remember one epidemiologist saying that it was going to be 12 to 18 months. Now, naturally, everybody threw up their hands, but I knew this was going to be a long haul, only out of a historical context. The major disappointment I have, because I'm not that crazy about traveling, having been a revivalist for many years, was not getting a chance to go back to Africa, where I was going for a ministry in the spring. I was disappointed about that. But other than that, the adjustment for me has been as I said at the outset, the sheer excitement of doing ministry in a way that made me uncomfortable. When I preach now and there's only a camera in front of me, I cannot engage in any of the gymnastics or histrionics, of which I'm so accustomed. Not only am I not touching your neighbor, when we come back, don't touch me, That's right. Don't ever touch me. But it makes me ask the question, so when I'm preaching or touching people's lives, since I can't employ the histrionics, since I can't say touch your neighbor or say yes, what am I really, really there to do? So I feel the stripping of many of the things I probably should have stripped away before, but now it's being a forced stripping. But I thought about something that I shared this, and I think Dr. Thurston will agree. I think the critical thing we can pass on to you young people who are obviously coming on behind us, We're passing the baton, as Dr. Thurston says, as it has been passed to us. When you get a chance, you read the 13th chapter of Matthew. At the end of that, the many parables of our Lord, he said this, and I pass it on to you. He said, the scribe is like a householder who reaches into his treasure and pulls out things old and new. I actually said new and old. Now, you look up those words new and old in the concordance, they're going to confuse you because that word new tends to use the word to renovate or to re. So you talk about revolution is to re what? So I'm wondering if what the Lord is really doing is bringing the church back to the original blueprint.
Yes.
That's lost somewhere. That's why I'm not rushing to get back in my building. I want to see how he's taking the church back to the original idea. But here's where, and I'm glad you're not making this mistake. He says old and new. Now that word old is very interesting because that word old says, old, or watch this, old, but not from the beginning, just old.
Oh, Lord.
Not from the beginning, just old. So many things I'm asking, what am I doing that's old? I need to drop off because it was not from the beginning, and what should be in the renewal process. So I'm 65 years old. My time is up sooner or later, but I'm having a ball in realizing the old that's relevant, the new that's meaningful, joined together without all of the other trappings that are not necessary, to me present a marvelous future. So if my energy is high, yes, it is.
Stephen,
Yes.
first of all, the doors of the church are open.
Yes.
And I'm the first one at the altar. I'm committing myself to Christ afresh and anew. But we put the wrong tag on this. We should have called this the master class with Dr. Stephen Thurston and Bishop J. Douglas Wiley-Taylor. Okay, that's so we're going to come back and try this again, but we're just going to be the audience next time.
Yes, sir.
What insight. So we've been talking about pivot. I mean, this entire 10 months, you've heard the word pivot as the catchword. And it's about to be a hard pivot into 2021.
Yeah.
I think this proves the point that the number of a year really doesn't make a difference. What makes a difference is your vision. And that changes the year at any point of a year. And so with that in mind, I want to start with our resident mosaic, Marcus. I want to start with you. What are your expectations for 2021 and beyond? How old are you? I know you've had a birthday since we talked last. How old are you, Marcus? And give us a little texture here. How has this pandemic affected you personally as it relates to your relationship with your family village, your relationship with God, with your friends? And then what is it that you're looking forward to going into 2021 and beyond, since the whole of your life, the course of your life has been shaped by this pandemic in a very significant way?
All right, well, hi, I'm Marcus, and I'm 17 years old. I just turned 17 November 21st. Thank God for another year of life.
Happy birthday, man.
Thank you. But this pandemic, I like to think of it like as basketball. I'm also a basketball player, and I feel like it was like the 4 quarters of basketball. First quarter, is something new. We're just getting started. I'm like, man, I can't believe this is happening. So, I'm starting off strong, make sure my grades are good because I'm finishing out the school year at home. And I'm like, man, okay, I can do this. Finish out the school year. We're going to the second quarter, where it's summer break now. It's kind of slowing down. And then we go to the third quarter. We're back in school. And this is like one of the quarters where it's either like you show up or you don't show up. And I wasn't showing up at first. I was slacking in my word, wasn't reading my word like I was supposed to. Wasn't getting on my studies like I was supposed to, because I'm like, man, I hate this computer. I want to go outside. I want socialization. And it was rough. But then, put on the boosters toward the end because my father figure at home, my dad, he's always letting me know, you're not average, so you can't take the easy way out. And my mom, you're a leader in the kingdom of God, and you represent him. So you got to keep pushing. So I turned it on the end of the third quarter, you know, got myself together, got motivated again. I got motivated again. And then now it's like we're in the fourth quarter and we're about to go into a new year and I'm getting it together. My grades are looking pretty good. I'm doing what God wants me to do with my gifts and my editing. I'm a DJ too. I produce, I act, I write. So I've been working on that, but getting closer to him. And now my hopes for 2020 is that, you know,
2021.
2021,
Yes.
yeah. My family has been praying for healing for all my friends and everybody. And we've been believing for just, you know, full healing. And I was reading my word this morning and it was like, we can do this. God will come in, but he compared it to like a radio tuner, like where God has the radio, but we're not tuned into the right channel. So if we want anything to change, we're gonna have to tune into him. He's not waiting on us. Oh, I forgot how he worded it, but
take your time.
Yeah, basically God has already done it. God has already fixed
Right.
the world. God has already got it together. It's just up to us to tune into the right channel,
Right.
and hop on and, you know, change stuff. So I've been reading my word, my family, we've been believing for healing, only speaking positive things because there's power in the tongue. So for 2021, I'm just hoping for full healing. I'm praying for full healing and that we can bring more people to Christ so we can change the world. So yeah.
And that's excellent, Marcus. And you're exactly right. We're not waiting on him. He's waiting on us. And when we tune into his frequency, then we can have everything that we need. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. Appreciate you.
Hey, Marcus said something as it relates to 2021, and I can't help but to think about Mark and what Mark is doing. So let's wrap this up. This has been a rich conversation, and we're gonna wrap up by expressing our desires, our hopes, our dreams for 2021. Mark launched something several weeks ago, and he tagged it Risky Faith, and he stepped out into something. I hope he'll share a little bit of that as he closes out. And it even challenged me from an entrepreneurial perspective. When I saw him do that, I said, I'm sitting on money, and scared money don't make money. So I went out and bought me a big rig truck, a flatbed, and started a transportation company. So what is it that you hope and you desire? And listen, you never know, by saying what you want to do, who's listening, who can help you get it done. And so let's be risky in our thinking and our dreams, and share it, put it out here. You never know who's listening, who's tuned in. Mark, you can kick us off, man.
Let me first say what an honor this has been. This is a highlight of the week to have this mixture of seasoned and up and coming, just to be in the mix. I'm grateful, Dr. Thurston and Dr. Taylor, and certainly to our co-facilitators, Dr. Allmon and my brother, Pastor Thurston. Grateful for everyone. I think that to answer that question, man, to kind of pick up on what you started, I'm sitting right now. I moved my camera from when I first got on because I had an empty bookshelf behind me, and I don't want y'all to think that I don't have books. I just move it in, all right? That was bothering me. I had to move. But I'm sitting in the office. One of the offices at the new facility that we just moved into 72 hours ago now.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. We're calling the entire project the M3 Center because this is a place where ministry, media, and marketplace will convene. So many of us, specifically in the Black church context, have looked at the pandemic and said, oh, the church is changing, things are changing. And for many of us, our reaction, our response to that has been to make a post. For a few of us, it's been to buy a new camera. But for us, I said, well, if the church is changing, if the culture is changing, if digital is becoming more and more important, I don't need to make a post. I need to build a studio. And so that's what we set out to do. We put it in the atmosphere, as Pastor Thurston said, literally a month ago, 1 month ago, I started making posts. I'm going to have a studio in Metro Atlanta. It's going to be this. We're going to do podcasts. We're going to have a photography suite. We're going to have 2 sound stages. We're going to have room for this, room for that, da-da-da-da. And 4 weeks later, I am sitting in, don't judge me, but when I was making the post, I asked God for 5,000 square feet. Then I went and saw what that looked like. I said, I can't do nothing with this. Then I just got a little more faith. Said, God, give me 7,500 square feet. And then I saw that and said, I can't do nothing with this. And so I'm so glad he looks beyond our faults and sees our needs. We signed the deal. We moved into 20,000 square feet.
Wow.
Got 24 offices. So it's going to be a co-working space. Why are we spending money with WeWork and with Peer Space for our shared meetings when we can do it for something that's Black owned and Kingdom owned? So we've got co-working spaces here. We've got a cafe, we've got a gym, we've got 2 sound stages, 2 podcast rooms, editing suites, all of this because we have to prepare. We have to prepare for what's coming. And you all have heard it said so many times, you don't prepare for war in the time of war. You prepare for war in the time of peace. And the war has already started. And so we got to hurry up and get it done. And so I'm believing, looking to 2021, I'm believing, number one, that this facility will be paid off. We set out 4 weeks ago and found the space. 2 weeks later, they told us I had 10 days to come up with $60,000. We did the $60,000 in 10 days. And now I'm looking at the dry erase board where I'm keeping that tally. I'm like $14,000 away from completing phase 1. So I'm believing God to finish phase 1. I'm believing God for the right context. When we moved in, and I'm closing, I'm excited, so I don't want to get lost here, but when we moved in, the previous owners who turned down other people to put us in, Mr. Noah Roth, you do with that what you will. The previous owner, he said, listen, I want you to be in here. Turned down other offers. And when we got the keys, he said, I forgot to tell y'all, this is an opportunity zone. And our former CEO is high school classmates with the Deputy Director of Housing and Urban Development for the United States of America. And just so you know, there's a lot of opportunity here that some major things could happen. I said, speak, Lord, speak. So I'm just believing that every one of us will claim and walk in every opportunity that God has laid out before us. And I got to stop because I'm getting excited. And
Mark, how can people support and contribute to this mammoth movement that's taking place? It's something that's very much needed. How can people support it?
Well, I'm grateful that you would ask that question. We are on Cash App. Hope we're still there. We are on, did y'all lose me?
No, we got you. You're here.
There we go. The devil is a lie. Not now.
Not now.
My computer went crazy, but if y'all can hear me, I'm gonna keep talking.
We can hear you and see you.
Okay, good. The Cash App is $ Explore YLC for those that feel led and want to partner with us in completing this. We're on Givelify as Young Leaders Conference. You can go to the PayPal donate page at exploreylc.com. You can send a letter, email, carrier pigeon, Pony Express. You can throw it and I'll catch it. Whatever you need to do, we appreciate you. We really want to create a space where creators, entrepreneurs, ministers, one of the reasons we're building the soundstage in phase 2, which will be our main auditorium and sanctuary, is because as a preacher's kid, I can't tell you how many preachers and pastors I've seen trying to start ministry, trying to get started, and they're using high schools and they're borrowing YMCAs or they're borrowing their friends' building off hours, and nothing wrong with any of that. But why not create a central space, a central hub with a 10 by 30 LED wall, with 3 Hitachi motorized projectors up top, with seating and with technology and with full background? Why not create something for the culture if we're in a virtual space where you don't even have to live in Atlanta to utilize it, but this can be your virtual pulpit wherever you are. You fly into Hartsfield, Jackson. We've been blessed. We've already purchased 2 airport shuttles for the studio. We pick you up. We bring you here. You bring 4 outfits. You spend 2 days. You tape a month's worth of services. You go home. So we're really trying to advance the kingdom and the culture. And so whatever you give, if you're on the Cash App at $ Explore YLC, if you're going to Givelify at Young Leaders Conference, if you're going to the donate page at exploreylc.com, whatever you're doing, we appreciate you. We thank God for you. We cannot wait to share the full testimony sooner than later.
Thank you so much. And we're going to share the contact information and contribution information for all of our guests and co-hosts that are on today. Stephen, continue, man. I'm excited. This is exciting. Yes.
Kervance, come on. What you got, man?
Stephen, let me before you go forward, get $500 from me.
All right.
And I know you'll get it to Mark.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Wow.
God bless
yes,
you.
sir. Yes, sir.
Wow.
This is just an honor.
Hold on, it's happening in the room. You know, if we were in church right now, we say it's happening in the room right now.
Wabba the trouble.
It's happening. Pop Thurston don't stir it up. It's happening in the room. I'm telling you.
Wow.
I ain't got 5, but I'm gonna send you 100, Mark.
No, thank you. No, you family for real. Thank you.
Yeah, for real. Come on, Kervance.
Well, I'm making my contribution right now, Mark Moore. You've been my brother the entire time.
And Mark, I'm going to share as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm excited simply because there have just been so many amazing connections made through you, Ricky, and through you, Stephen. And this is a nostalgic moment because Dr. Thurston has been somebody I've admired since I was 14. And he was one of the first major platforms to ever give me an opportunity. So Dr. Thurston, I'm always honored, and I honor you. For 2021, in the spirit of what Mark was discussing, I want us to be able to take on the mindset of fall. Because I quickly realized that fall is a subliminal celebration of death. And although the trees are fading, fall has never gotten married to the success of the prior seasons. Fall could care less about how successful the last summer or spring was. But fall quickly realized that I've got to allow some stuff to fall away and die so that I can have success prepared for the next seasons that are on the way. And I think we are in a season where we're understanding that there are some things that have to separate so that we can connect. And in the same spirit, God gave me near the end of the year, and major shout out to my pastor, Jamal Bryant, this platform where I realized that churches who had been great stewards over their resources were immediately under attack because we were all shifting to the digital platform. And we thought about executive security and armor bearers, but we didn't think about cybersecurity.
Wow.
And I launched with my marketplace team, what I call a cyber salvation team. And I partnered with some of my major business liaisons, and we were and are now going out, making sure that churches who have money in the account are in a position where, with all the Basquiat's of faith, whether they are Picasso's of resources and profit, you don't just have in this space protected by burglar bar doors on the windows and on the doors. We now put it in place where churches could have a full service Black-owned cybersecurity firm helping to protect you while you're downloading, reaching out, and going global. We had one client that at the click of a button was hijacked. A major church that if I gave you the name, you would know, by a cybersecurity attack, and took not only $500,000 of their resources, but shut down their whole online platform so that they could not even go online. And the FBI decided to get behind them and told them, you may not have to pay the whole amount, but because you weren't cyber secure, you're going to have to deal with this ransom. So we are now helping churches and organizations of all sizes be cyber safe. So that's one area. Also, I want to make sure that people in our space lose their ego and let that fall away, to get connected to people who can help you be better than you are by yourself. It is a personal testimony that because of Steve Thurston, I was able to get connected to Ricky Allmon. Because of Steve Thurston, I made connections with Mark Moore that shifted the course of my whole journey through YLC. Because of Steve Thurston and Ricky, I met Keva, I met Jermone, I met Bill, I met all these people. And if I had allowed my ego to keep me from my connections, I would have been able to only edge myself out of the potential God had for me. And there's so many people who are calling, and they're only calling on a rotary phone when everybody else has cell phones. And if we would allow ourselves to fall away from the ego of saying, you do something that I don't know how to do, can you help me? And get this, don't ask for it for free. Make sure that you are paying the same investment in the fact that they're getting ready to help capitalize and catapult you to the place that you would allow people to do it in your gifting. So that's my prayer for 2021, that God does not stop allowing me to hear and see what he is doing before it gets done in the earth realm. And that we will now be able to change the template of our platform by showing people we are, in the words of my brother Mark Moore, we're all better together. And being able to be in that space helps us to be better in the future than we've been in the past.
How can people contact you or contribute to your vision, Kervance?
Yes, sir. You can literally go to thekingmakersclub.com, which is my website. It allows you to be able to get the tech solution options so that you're up on all of the text options and the text opportunities. Our online, whether it is on Cash App, you can go to Kervance D. Ross. Once you put the $ in front of Cash App. And of course, our firm, with everything that you're doing from marketing to innovation to cybersecurity to strategy, is kdrconsults.com. And I have staff members waiting right now to be able to help you and get you up to snuff, whether it's from production, post-production, your strategy, your brand, your website, whatever you need to do to be successful in ministry. A full service team in 11 states around the country are there to help you get what you need done.
Awesome, man. Thank you for all you're doing. Raymond, what you got for 2021, sir?
Man, 2021 is going to be big. My youngest son graduates from NYU in May of 2021. And so to have him, there in New York City, had matriculated, at the top of everything in computer engineering nonetheless, right? And so the first thing I'm going to do is celebrate. Got to celebrate that maybe the whole year. And then it brings about a new dispensation in my life too, where when you're raising kids, you're not as risky, with your resources and your capacity. But once they really gone, you can then put your foot on the gas. And so I think that looks like just really investing more into things I love and businesses and people that I love, right? And so for 2021, that's going to be the focus. I don't know how long we're going to be inside yet. But looking forward to really just investing into things that grow, legacy, things that's going to last for a long time. And so that's where we're at.
How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah,
what's your website?
The easiest and most fun way is on Instagram at Urban Ed. So Urban, URBANED. That's my handle there, Instagram. And just go there, and then everything that I'm into, you'll know. And then we can go from there.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Keva, what you got?
I've heard so many, taglines, if you will, about 2020, 2020 being the perfect vision or clear vision. I am speaking that 2021 will be a clearer vision. 2020 really has been perfect vision, because for a standstill to happen, everything shut down. It forced us, especially me, to focus on me and what God has purposed for me. He says to just be still and be the salvation of the Lord. And I have seen that, and doing the things that I have put off for the longest time. I plan to move forward, of course, with my schooling, my graduate degree, or master's degree rather. and publish this book, and praying that more opportunities become available where I can really, really and truly exercise my faith, like big faith, and expecting more things and clearer vision.
Cool. Now, you got a current book that's out. Where can people get that and then connect with you in other ways?
My current book is Glamorous Sacrifice, Life in the Shadow of Championships. And that is on Amazon.com. And right now, I'm only on social media, on Facebook, Keva Horry, and Instagram and Twitter at Hey Horry, Horry, and Cash App. That's the $sign Keva Horry, capital K, capital H.
Oh, thank you. Who we got left? Kristian, what heresies do you have for 2021, sir?
I knew it was coming.
Steve is one of my dearest friends and my greatest troll ever, and I love him for it. I want to start by saying I am a bit of a theological disruptor, and I am so grateful for people like Dr. Stephen Thurston, who knew me before I knew him, because he and my father were friends for a long time, both attending Bishop College, and he used to come preach revivals from my dad every year. And to have gone through my theological evolution and to have my elders like Dr. Thurston still embrace me, still consider me son, still smile when they see me, and take me to eat, and all the encouragement means the world to me, because there are many people who decided they didn't want to be in a relationship with me anymore because of the disruptive nature of my theology. So I'm so grateful for Dr. Stephen Thurston and other people like him. For me, in 2021, my focus is to continue curating community. So that is what we have been doing at the Faith Community, the church that I founded just 2 years ago. And 2021, we're curating a community of leaders to help put people on the right track to building sustainable virtual community. And that goes beyond creating content, because creating online content does more to build your celebrity than it does to build your community. So it's not about just getting people connected to the personality, it's getting people connected to each other. And in 2021, we're going to do a great amount of work. We're starting with the clinic that I talked about earlier, Virtually Unstoppable. And if anybody wants to support the work that we're doing, Virtually Unstoppable is not about my theological disruption. I'm not going to be spewing my theological heresies at Virtually Unstoppable. It's really about those of us who are in leadership and ministry really examining how do we curate community in the virtual space. So in this clinic, we're talking about team development, systems implementation, community and congregational care, grief support, monetization, sustainability, programming, and content creation. So if anybody wants to support the work that we're doing, we would love to have your help. You can register for Virtually Unstoppable by going to my website, christianasmith.com. And I assure you, you will be blessed by being a part of that clinic. It will happen over the course of 4 weeks, beginning Tuesday, January 12th, and it will happen every Tuesday for 4 consecutive weeks. And it's only $135 right now for all 4 of those sessions. So you can go to christianasmith.com and register for Virtually Unstoppable. Also, if you know someone who could benefit from it, I want to ask you if you would sponsor a scholarship for someone to participate in Virtually Unstoppable. Everything you want to know about me, you can find at christianasmith.com. My clothing, my podcast, my ministry, Virtually Unstoppable, all of my social media handles, you can find all of that if you go to christianasmith.com.
And your book.
Yes, you can order my book, Breaking All the Rules, an ancient framework for modern faith. You can order it right there at christianasmith.com. And I would appreciate any support that we can get as we continue to take this journey of curating beloved community, particularly in the virtual space.
Thank you, sir. Bill, what you got, man?
I'm going to be subscribing to all of you all and continuing to siphon all of this wonderful information to continue to formulate how we are going to transition a 98-year-old fundamentally Pentecostal apostolic church in this new space. And very directly, I'm on the heels of my young presider, Mark Jr. We will be turning the church into a sound stage. We've got the best sounding 1,200 seat room on the south side of Chicago.
I love it.
So there you go. We will be, that's it. We're upgrading the tech in the building. The pandemic showed us that what the saints said we had to be patient in transitioning. The pandemic said you can continue wasting time on that cruise ship speedboat analogy if you want to, or you can go ahead and say, follow me into the digital realm. And those that unfortunately may get left, there will be a ministry still on the traditional banks of the Jordan for you. So that's where I am.
Thank you, Bill. How can people follow, connect, support, all of that?
Instagram, Billoved1, BILLOVED 1. That's the number 1. Facebook, Bill Ellis. YouTube, APC Morgan Park. Subscribe to our YouTube page.
Bishop Wiley-Taylor, we're getting our notes ready as you unmute because we know you're about to drop some great nuggets.
Stop it, Stephen. Thank you, Dr. Allmon, for this opportunity. I want to connect with everyone on this call and to give all of you any support that I can give. Thank you so much for this kind of life-giving experience. It has literally fired me up and energized me. For 2021, I'm back to my original statement. I'm chasing the goose. In the Chinese language, crisis and opportunity is the same word. And so to me, this crisis has done nothing but framed a brand new opportunity to do ministry, to do outreach, to do connection, to change all the paradigms. We did for years, and Dr. Allmon will be aware of this, for years we did the Gardner C. Taylor Distinguished Preaching Series here in New Orleans, honoring my adopted father, Dr. Taylor. Well, this year we were challenged to do it online. We had several hundred people in person. Online, we had several thousand. That's exciting to me because the walls have been taken down. And as Bill said, even when we come back into buildings, someone has suggested that we, in the future, turn our sanctuaries into studio audiences. An outstanding pastor in Houston says most churches design their programs for the people already there. He said, this church, we design our program for people not here yet. And I'm thinking about what we can do as a church to utilize, disciple, and strengthen the people that are there, but for the sole purpose of reaching the world and reaching the people that are not here yet. I think this crisis has been a magnificent opportunity, and an opportunity, even a crisis, should never be missed. Dr. Thurston will agree with this. Think about this. All of our conventions and conferences are going to have to do some serious rethinking in the days ahead. I think it's exciting. Thank you for letting me be a part of this. And I'm chasing the goose.
Cool. How can the people follow you and connect with you, sir?
Now, you should ask my daughter, my son that question, but let me take a shot at it. LCC NOLA, NOLA dot, I guess that would be .org.
Yes.
I'm going to date myself. My email address, okay, so get ready for this, Flintstones, is Bishop J.D. Wiley at AOL.com. Now that's the Flintstones, I know. And
I'm there.
And are you all right? All right.
AOL too.
Yes,
And
sir.
I'm also at Bishop at LCCNOLA.org. If I didn't say that, my younger daughter would disinherit me. So.
And Alicia will text me to disavow anything you just said if she needs to. So I'll be, and it will be in the caption. So we got you covered. I got you covered, big brother.
Thank you.
Dad, before you give what you're shooting for 2021, I want to tap into my prophetic gift. You see this logo here on my,
Yeah.
I believe the
Oh,
Lord is speaking right now that you ought to bless me with this in 2021. God to do
I
something.
can't hear him. I can't hear him.
Since the Lord's in the blessing business in the room, huh, Stephen? You going?
Are the waters of trouble, Reverend?
Yes, sir.
Oh my God! He said he couldn't hear you.
What is it that you're shooting for 2021?
Let me say that I'm committed to a church of 86 years where my grandfather started the church in 1934.
Wow.
And I am committed to continuing that legacy. At 68 years old, I have literally done everything that the Lord has allowed me to do. I can't think of anything that I need to do now that I have not done moving forward. My oldest daughter, Stephen's sister, calls me on the phone and says to me every day, "Oh man, what are you doing?" And my response to her is, I'm doing what I've been doing now for 41 years as pastor of this 86-year-old church, where my grandfather and my father before me laid the foundation. But listen, I am committed to doing this. I am in school at Payne Seminary, and I am going after the doctorate of ministry degree.
Yes.
Now, what is an 86-year-old man doing in school after a doctorate degree? I'm doing that so that I can mentor many of you going forward, and being able to do that is my commitment going forward. I will be 70 years old when I graduate with this doctorate of ministry degree, because I believe the Lord can use me to be a mentor for so many of you that are doing such great work, including my son, who is the 4th generation of Thurston's in ministry going ahead. Bless you, Dr. Ricky. Continue in what you are doing.
Yes,
and
sir.
as my mentor, the Reverend Dr. Clay Evans would say, may the Lord bless all of you real good. And Dr. Wiley-Taylor, just keep on, man. You're a blessing to all of us.
Thank you.
Stephen, let me interject right here and just pay homage and give honor to both Pop Thurston and to Bishop J. Douglas Wiley-Taylor. Thank both of you for being a model of ministry, for being a model of manhood, and for showing the camaraderie, the collegiality that is so necessary in ministry that our generation often don't have because of a spirit of competition. And thankfully, the gentleman and gentle lady that are on this call, we don't represent that spirit. We represent the spirit of collaboration. But I just want to thank you all for being who you are and for setting a standard for us that we'll only try to measure up to. As I used to tell my father all the time, I was like, if I could be a fourth of who you are, And of course, he'd always say, Rick, you'll be double. I go, yeah, that's what you're supposed to say. You're my dad. But if I can be a fourth, I'd be honored. I feel like I'd be doing something. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Stephen, for that moment of personal privilege.
Yes, sir. Listen, for those watching, be sure that you follow, you join.
Hold on, Dr. Glenn. Dr. Glenn hasn't shared. I got you covered.
Thank you, man.
This is a team effort. We were saving you for last, so I had it marked. I'm like, okay, it's coming down, so you must share, sir.
I was good again, watching and listening. I've enjoyed this today. Just thank you for the opportunity to be connected in this moment and everything that was said and that was shared. I mean, I had no problem moving right on.
No, don't even go there.
Anything that I'm anticipating moving forward in 2021 is just really getting my family assimilated properly into this new city and my new assignment and adjusting to my seat in that space. And then just coaching people in whatever areas I can to help them, learn and grow and create in their space. Everything that's connected to me is connected to my name, Jermone, not Jerome, Jermone.
Thank you.
GLENN.com, JermoneGlenn.com. All the teaching, the virtual classrooms, the coaching, so forth, all of that stuff is there. But it's been an honor and a privilege to share this moment with everyone that's here. Thank you both for assimilating us. And like I said, I just been enjoying listening, and it feels good to know 2021 has some exciting things ahead just by listening to what's going to happen from this group of people. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Stephen, let me offer a scriptural catalyst. As I was listening to particularly Keva talk about what 2021 represents for her, and then hearing Pop Thurston talk about at 68 years old, getting his D-men for the next phase of his life and for the evolution of his assignment to the generations coming behind him. I believe it's in St. Mark 8, Jesus is in Bethsaida, and they bring a blind man to him. And we know the story. All of us are preachers, hermeneuticians. He spits in the dirt, makes clay, puts it on his eyes. And the Bible says when he takes the clay off, he asks him, how does he see? The man says, I see men as trees. Which deals with perception, how we see or what we see. Then the Bible says he puts clay on his eyes again, washes it off, and he asks him, how do you see? He said, I see men as men, which now deals with perspective. And I think the admonition for us going into 2021 is not what we see, but how we see. Going through 2020, we've had to deal with what we see, and we've had to navigate that and turn pandemic into possibilities, which is what we've talked about. And so I'd like to just phrase it and encapsulate it in just two words. As we go into 2021, I think the admonition would be look again. Whatever it appeared to be, whatever you thought it was, I believe God is saying, and he's allowing this pandemic to be elongated and expanded just for us to finally get the message, look again. Look again at your model of ministry. Look again at how you serve people. Look again at your priorities. And I believe across the length and breadth of our life, across the length and breadth of our work is in the kingdom of God, God is saying to us, look again. And I believe in this second look, we'll see things according to how God already designed them to be from the beginning.
Dr. Allmon.
Yes, sir.
A word to Dr. Thurston. You're 68 and I'm 65. Please let's stay in closer contact, because guess what? I too am going back to school.
All right.
Wow.
So let's.
Yes, sir.
So please let me cheat off your paper.
I'm gonna hook up with you as soon as I can, man. Yes, sir.
This is exciting.
Yeah.
And that's what we're dealing with. I mean, we're hearing two giants and generals saying, I'm looking again. That's what Keva was saying. Look, and that's what we're all saying, what Mark is doing, It's that second look. We're changing from what we see and what we've known to how we see, and we're getting a fresh perspective on what the kingdom, what ministry looks like. And so that's what I want to encourage everybody that's watching this podcast to do. Look again, take a second look. Don't be afraid of it. You might discover something there that you've never seen. My favorite poet philosopher is Khalil Gibran. In his book, Sand and Foam, it's my favorite quote in his musings. And he says, there's a treasure to be found anywhere in the earth, but you must dig with the faith of a peasant. And I believe if we keep digging, we're going to come up with something that we've never imagined.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Rick. Well, this has been an amazing session. Thank you to everybody who's taken time out of your day to connect with us. Thank you to our guests. We so appreciate what you poured into the revolution over the course of these past 10 months, and look forward to you engaging with us again in 2021. Rick, it's been a blast, man. And it's our hope and our prayer that you all would enjoy the balance of the year. Make it great. It can still be the best year of your life. It can still be the best day, the best month of your life. And make sure that you plug in and you join the revolution. It will not be televised. It will be streamed. We got some super cool coming up once we turn the corner of 2021.
And don't you try to exit without telling people how they can get in touch with you, sir. I saw what you tried right there. You tried that pivot. That's not going to work.
StephenJThurston.com. You can get my book, all my resources right there on that website. And then RickyAllmon.org.
Nobody asked you.
All of his resources, all of his wealth. It's right there. Tap into him. Rob him of everything he's got. Go get it.
So you got to do your signature greeting before we go off this live, Stephen.
Listen, have an amazing day.